This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hey friends, time marches on and it is the first episode of March for Party Loaded, the video games podcast. We are here to chat about all things fun and gaming, and my name is Luke Ritalik. Joining me tonight, our other hosts are Christian, who I believe is suffering a bit of a sore head tonight. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'll manage.
You'll manage, yeah. I promise not to scream too loudly in your ear.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of headaches, Jam, how you doing?
I think the puns might affect his headache a little more, and screw you, man.
I was really unsure which one he would say for that one.
No, I could have gone either way. But
Ollie's delighted that you didn't say his name.
Hooray!
I'll be super nice to Ollie tonight because Ollie's having a special night. So how you doing, man? What's going on?
I am okay. I got to play some PUBG just now, and it was good times.
Nice. Always a good way to
And
start.
I got to watch some PUBG as well, and that was also good times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. It's good. Well, let's kick off then into chatting about recent gaming. Let's not go to PUBG first, though, because it's something that we have talked a lot about. But let's go to something else that we haven't talked heaps about, but I'd love to talk more about. So, Jam, you finally popped into The Sims. You got your thing working through a bit of a journey, I understand. So what actually happened?
It was miserable. So I mentioned last week that the credit card fiasco, my credit card got locked because of the stupid verification process.
Yeah, apparently EA doesn't stand for easy access, but go on.
No, and I can doubly confirm this because when I went to JB to spend my Christmas voucher on the base game plus a few expansion packs and brought it home to install, I could not install any of the CD DLCs from disk. It would not recognize the codes. And I've done some data entry. I know I wasn't messing it up that many times. I actually had to go and find a way to register the code through Origin, which registered first time, and download every single DLC pack that I purchased. Mm-hmm. The disc was literally useless.
So we should clarify this is Sims 4, of course, we were talking about last week. But what's your status now? Have you got everything locked and loaded?
It's working and I love it because it's Sims, and oh my God, I can't believe I caved after so long. I blame you.
You blame me. I didn't tell you to pick up every expansion. That would have been a pretty penny.
I didn't pick up every expansion. They
Just
didn't have them all.
Yeah.
I was debating what I was going to make first. I ended up making my D&D character, Alejandro, the half-elf bard. Of course, he's not a half-elf in Sims, but he's pretty. He's very pretty.
He's half whore, if anything.
Yeah, a little bit. Except no. He fell for someone very quickly, and he's in a committed relationship. I'm a bit disappointed in him. But it's fabulous. He is, of course, a musician. That is his career path. And I'm really liking the little things I've noticed that's different to Sims 3. It's more intuitive. I'm still trying to get used to the queue, the action queue on the left. That's just weirding me out. I'm so used to being it across the top.
Have you worked out the camera trick yet? To change the camera setting back to Sims 3?
Oh, I did that first thing.
Yep.
First thing I did, for sure. But it's very pretty. I like how they're letting you navigate around the city without actually having your sim travel anywhere, because that just wastes so much time. And all of the bits and pieces are cute. There's a lot of new additions that I'm loving. So many interactions between the Sims. It's quite hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially when one of my Sims is in a playful mood, so she makes gummy bear pancakes. It looks like this colourful mess on the plate, but I was laughing. They seemed to enjoy it, so whatever. But she made fruitcake, excellent quality fruitcake, and they both went, blah, who eats fruitcake? And they were sad for hours.
Yeah, I found the same thing. Not everybody likes fruitcake.
Just like real life.
Yeah,
Just like real life.
Exactly.
Does anyone on this podcast like fruitcake?
No.
I do.
No.
I fucking love fruitcake.
Weirdo.
Yeah.
Stop
Welcome
talking.
to why I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm having a lot of fun. Sims 4 is great. I have 4 of the expansions that I want to basically get the rest because I still have JB Hi-Fi vouchers left.
Yep. So for anyone who's
that's
unaware,
fine.
the structure of The Sims is like you actually have these giant expansions which introduce like probably big world-based chunks of content, like different ways to play your Sims. Like one of them was the city living expansion.
That's
Yeah.
the map that my character's in. He's got a tiny little apartment, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom.
Yep. There was one about
Wants the penthouse.
like owning restaurants or something, or was that one of the game packs? I forget. There's a big careers
know.
one, which adds a whole bunch of different careers to the game. But then
Pets.
there's smaller packs, which I think are called game packs, which are the ones which are just a themed bit of content, like the pets one is a game
Items, yeah.
pack. Yeah, there's a laundry day one, which allows you to sort of, build a laundry and like change your clothes quite a bit and introduces a lot of items of apparel and that sort of thing. And then there's one which I just picked up because it just launched this week, which is the Sims Jungle Adventure. So I got that one and installed it, and basically this one
Holiday
allows you
destination.
you travel to a faraway land, which is called Selva Dorada. So yeah, interesting one.
Sure.
But yeah, you get to basically take Sims on holiday and explore the jungle, and there's like temples you can go through and try and dodge traps and curses and find treasure and learn exotic foods and dances and all sorts of stuff. It's quite cool how they've put it all together. So very well themed. Think of it as like if an ancient Aztec temple was commercialized. Essentially, that's kind of where they've gone with it. So. Yeah,
Nice.
it's good. Ties into all of the the Indiana Jones style, nostalgia and that kind of thing. But I was just going to say, Jem, in relation to the Sims sort of being different to the previous ones you've played, one of the things I've really picked up with Sims 4, which is quite standout in the way that it's been different to the previous ones, is how well they've represented today's standard of technology in social situations. Like,
Oh, yes.
a lot of the interactions you can do with your Sims in the game are actually through your phone now. It's very similar to how you do it in GTA 5.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They've done that to a degree in Sims 3,
Okay, yeah.
but this is definitely more modern.
Yeah, even to the extent that like one of the skills you can have now is video gaming, and the characters that I made for all of us have actually frequently been getting tense when they haven't played enough video games during a day, which is completely true to life, I have to say. But like I actually had a moment where I walked away from my computer a couple of days ago just to grab a coffee, and I came back because I just let the game play as I was gone, and 4 of us were standing in a room, all not conversing with each other at all with our phones out playing fucking games, and I was like, well, this is pretty accurate.
It's like real life.
Exactly. They did a really good
Is
job.
there like a fake Sims version of Facebook?
No, there's a fake Sims
Simsbook.
version of Instagram called Simstagram.
There you
And
go.
you can post photos of your pets
Fantastic.
to it as well.
Oh, I didn't
That's
even
what I
know
wanted.
that yet.
Yeah. Oh, I should mention the pet stuff is really intuitive. Like, I actually made Ollie's pet dog Noodle in the game now. Through a little bit of consultation with Ollie himself and tried to get it as accurate as I could. Unfortunately, Ollie's dog is a cross sausage dog dachshund. Have I got that right?
Dachshund is
That's
such
just the breed.
That's the breed, yeah. So you can actually mix breeds in the game as well. Sausage dog wasn't one of the options, unfortunately, though, so I had to kind of just, get it as close to
Pathetic.
possible as I could. But there are a lot
weird.
of options. Like, there's at least 30 or 40 different breeds that you can mix. So, and the color palettes and, size sort of changing. You can stretch different aspects of the dog's body and repaint areas of it. It's actually really, really detailed, so I was quite impressed. Definitely the most granular pet simulator I've ever seen, for sure. So, is good. And the pet actually has broke the toilet a whole lot less than Jam has, so that was a win too.
Stop buying cheap toilets, you bastard.
Reinforce that shit.
Well, what's everyone else been playing? Anything interesting?
I tried something new.
Oh, yeah? Do tell.
Yeah. Simo convinced me to jump on Fortnite on PS4.
Yep.
We did okay. We got like third.
Pretty good.
But it wasn't because I was being particularly useful. We just played it smart. A lot of hiding. It's good. It's fun. I still don't understand what I'm doing and I can't build for shit. But I see the appeal and I want to play it more with a big group
Yeah.
to really get the hang of it. It's just going to be like a time thing, I think, to get the hang of, especially building quickly. People just go doom, 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 and they're gone or surrounded by like a fortress. And I have no idea what they did.
I will admit I've seen some pretty epic plays of the match, like popping up on YouTube from that game recently, like people building towers like sky high and then just jumping down and shotgunning someone as they fall for the win. Like, there's some pretty awesome clips out there. Of,
Jumped into one of the drops we did, went straight to Tilted Towers, so I had that experience for the first time. I died so fast.
It's cool.
It was great.
So we saw, as of today, apparently PUBG has been overtaken by Fortnite as most streamed game on Twitch, which is kind of amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is the hotness at the moment. I mean, it's been out for a while.
The end of days.
Yeah. No, it's good. Well, I mean, I got my first crack at the new PUBG the other day with you guys, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a big improvement to my previous experience with the game. So all of the vaulting stuff and the improved sort of map, and I mean, playing on a new rig
And you
certainly
can
didn't
see,
hurt.
you can see the graphics.
Exactly.
The trees don't look like people lumps anymore.
Nope, did not.
That's good.
Still a bit of bugginess though, like, there was a bit where we sort of walked into an amphitheatre area where there's like steps up each side in a circle and there's weapons sort of sitting on the steps, and a lot of the weapons were sort of sitting down and phasing through solid brick. So I was like, yeah, that's not great. And there was a bit where I jumped into a car and it locked me, even though we're playing in first-person mode, it locked me at third-person mode at a camera angle that I couldn't actually see what was ahead of me. So.
I'm still pretty sure that your guy jumped into the back seat and just like stretched forward to drive.
But wouldn't that even more put me on the level where I'm looking ahead? Because
I don't know. The camera was confused.
Yeah, it was
Who
super
drives
weird.
like that?
Super weird, yeah. Yeah, that was good fun. And, been smashing out a bit more Tomb Raider as well, so getting into that game, which has been fun. Monster Hunter World, though, Jam, you and I had a bit of a win during the week and finally took out Nergigante, so...
Yay.
Gesundheit.
I had put it off for over a week. I was like, I've got these other new games, I'll play them because everyone's like warned me about Nergigante, right? And I went in super duper prepared and I played it so cautiously and I killed him first try. Mm-hmm. Woo! With my beautiful Glaive. I love Glaive. Glaive for life. It's just the best. Yeah, he was freaking tough.
Yeah.
I think
Oh
that
my God.
like does go to show one of like the virtues of the game, that if you are really careful and you plan well, then your like skill can just overcome anything. First try,
Yeah.
Nergigante down. Can't just rush in and just spam attacks.
Yeah, I was very careful. My one death was when I got stunned and he didn't switch his focus to my Palico. He just stood there and lifted his claw back and I was like, well. And Imogen had the pleasure of listening to the whole 40 minutes because she jumped on just as I launched it. And every now and then heard me go, oh crap, oh shit,
Yep.
run, dive, Mitch, dive, why aren't you diving? Yeah.
In our group now, we're just waiting on Imogen and Simo to beat Nergigante, I think.
She's right up to that bit now.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think she
got
just got
super
there.
motivated after talking about it on last week's show, and I did it twice that night, so I was pretty happy with that result. That was good.
Nice.
But I most certainly did not do it first fucking time, so well done, Jan.
I was just panicking that I was going to run out of time because I was being cautious. That was my concern, but it was great. It was a really good fight. He does go nutso, but Glaive just has a distinct advantage. You can be so evasive if you've got stamina. It's so helpful.
I can see that being useful against him in particular, actually, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've gotten quite a bit past that now, and I'm up to what I'm pretty certain is the final boss of the game. Barring any sort of additional beasties that pop out in the wild that aren't quite as big and threatening. So,
Have you actually fought it yet?
I have fought it, and that thing is a absolute turd, and there's a couple of attacks that I haven't worked out how to avoid yet. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's interesting. It reminds me a little bit of, and this is without spoiling anything at all, I think this is obtuse enough that it won't give anything away. It reminds me of the Super Metroid Mother Brain of bosses, if that makes sense. So one of the
No,
attacks
because I
in
haven't
particular.
played it. So good, because I don't want to know.
Yeah, no, it is good. But, I've heard that apparently there's additional monsters that reveal themselves in the game after you reach Hunter rank 50 or so. So I'm positive I hadn't seen everything yet. So
To temper your expectations, haha. I think what you've heard about is just tempered monsters, which are
okay.
just like a higher difficulty version of the existing monsters. But what you're facing is like the final monster skin that you'll see
yeah, that's what I figured.
until DLC. There's a new monster, Devil Joe, that's supposed to be the first one. That'll be out in a couple of months.
Yeah. I mean, the DLC for this game just opens up a huge realm of possibilities. I'm really curious to see how they go. And now that, as of this week, Monster Hunter World has been officially declared as Capcom's highest selling game ever, beating out all of the Resident Evils, the Street Fighters, the Mega Mans, everything, which is super impressive.
7.5 million last time I saw.
Yeah.
A little bit crazy.
Digital and shipped. So Pretty cool.
I mean, we were talking about today that that's maybe partly representative of the fact that a lot of their older games were during a different era where, arcade cabinets were a much bigger thing as well. So...
And I think that Capcom had underestimated the thirst for like a good Monster Hunter game on a home console. And because they were on record with, I don't know if you played Dragon's Dogma, but like Dragon's Dogma was Capcom trying to make a Monster Hunter type game that they thought would appeal to the West because they were scared that the Western audience would be scared off like mainline Monster Hunter games. And then Dragon's Dogma wasn't well received, so they're just like, stuff it, we'll just put Monster Hunter World on PS4, and then lo and behold, record game.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's a perfect storm, really. I mean, there's a couple of other things that really played into their favour. The January release being another big one as well, because they hit that nice time of year where they're not really massively competing for attention with other big launch titles that are sort of coming around March and April. So similar to what happened with Resident Evil last year. But the other thing too is they hit that nice tail end of the Destiny 2 sort of bubble. So a lot of people looking forward to moving on to something else after they were idling a little bit on that game. And a lot of the market they hit is the same sort of games as a service market that are keen to attach a large chunk of time investment into a title like this. So yeah, it was good. But no, it's super happy. It's exciting to see something like this go so well because it means that we'll get more of its like in future, which is great for us. So there you go. Well, did anyone else play anything? We want to chat about other gaming, or do we want to move on to some news? Get all serious business.
News it up.
Some serious. All right. So big off the press this week, and we are coming to this slightly late because of our recording schedule, but we can't really go without mentioning the topic of probably the month, which is the ESRB, so the entertainment. I forget what the S stands for.
Entertainment Software Ratings Board.
That's the one. All right, cool. So a lot of controversy last year around in-game purchases and loot boxes, and we spoke about that, at length on our show. A lot of other shows did too as well. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone who listens to gaming podcasts. But finally, the ESRB have turned around and partially addressed the issue. So what they're going to be doing is starting to label video games that contain in-game purchases, and they've stated that this is actually a direct response to lawmakers who have started working on that outcry over things like the loot crates and that sort of stuff, because they want to get on top of this before people who are in perhaps less knowledgeable positions start to do it for them. So
that's how the ESRB started, was in response to the US Senate saying, if you don't regulate yourself, we're going to regulate you. And then the video game industry made the ESRB to be self-regulating. So I think they want to jump on this before their hand is forced by bills and laws.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's an interesting situation too, because it's kind of like, some of the senior board members on the ESRB are actually sort of people who have very big stakes in some of the large game companies like EA. They're actually sort of responsible for some of this stuff as well. So there's a bit of a conflict of interest. But yeah, I mean, ultimately you have to have people that understand the industry and are in senior positions to be able to act on this organisation in the first place. So, but yeah, anyway, so they've done a couple of things. They're going to be adding those labels to games, and it's going to be covering things that include like bonus levels, skins, loot boxes, music, virtual coins, and other sorts of in-game currency, subscriptions, season passes, like any of those upgrades that actually require purchases. That's what's going to be labelled on these games.
Anything that it is like a digital exchange of money, basically. Not just loot boxes, not just microtransactions, but yes, like you say, season passes, map packs, everything.
Yep. And on top of that, they're actually running a bit of an awareness campaign at the moment. And there is a site that they've launched, which is, I believe it's parentaltools.org. Which you can check out. And for parents, I will say that it's actually not a terrible resource. It's actually got some useful information on there about how some of the parental controls work on some of the major consoles. So as a parent, like for people who are a lot less knowledgeable about the mainstream sort of options available than, say, us, if you were to go onto that site knowing nothing about the operating system of like a PlayStation 4 or a Xbox One, you can actually use this as a bit of a guide as to what these systems are capable of when it comes to restricting content to kids, which is good. I think it's better to have that available as information than not. So, but yeah, it opens up a whole bunch of questions. So, things like, what's the label going to look like? Where is it actually going to be on the box? Because video game boxes, I don't know if you've looked at one recently, they're kind of crowded with a lot of fucking information at the moment.
Yep.
I think they said it's going to be next to, but separate from the existing rating.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is this going to be stuff that only goes to retail? Like, how are you going to apply labels to games that are done as digital purchases? What happens if microtransactions get added to the game after launch?
That's That's my big question of everything. I
Yeah.
think that some of the other questions that have been raised are pretty easy to answer, but that one I think is really difficult.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's only added in after launch or a couple of weeks before launch. What do you do?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, games are very, very rarely a static thing now. Like, things get iterated on and built on over time. And you could quite easily have someone that owns a game and that has features like this added to it after the fact. I mean, it's not even just about things that are still sitting on retail shelves that need to be relabeled or stickered or something like that. It's about things that are actually in people's collections at home. So, yeah, it's a really convoluted and tricky issue. And I don't think anyone who is in touch with what's going on with this believes for a second that this is going to solve the problem. I think as far as a step towards creating awareness goes, it's going to help. It's not going to hinder, but it's certainly not going to tick the box of, this is a done thing. So,
and to be clear too, we're talking about the US here, Australia and Europe. Asia, nothing to do with the ESRB, so it doesn't apply directly to us.
No, I think the biggest impact that we'll see is if developers and publishers actually start to change their behaviour in terms of the content they're putting out, as opposed to how it's actually branded and labelled after the fact. So 'cause that'll reflect on what content actually gets made available to us over those international lines. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if someone like EA, for instance, starts to decide that putting a certain bit of content in a game is too difficult to market because of some of the labelling in the US, and they remove that feature altogether, then we will obviously see the impact of that. But yeah, for the most part, it'll be a local thing.
I think given what they've announced so far about it, I don't think it'll have much impact because I think almost every game that comes out, certainly AAA games, will have this label on. And it won't,
agree.
because it'll be on so many things, it won't be alarming to anybody because pretty much every game will have it. So it'll just be kind of white noise.
It's funny, actually. You could almost go the opposite way and put labels on games that don't have this content, and you'd have less labels.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one. But, yeah, all right. Well, anyway, that is pretty much that. So,
Another cool thing happened this week. Bethesda and EA set their dates for E3 2018, which is cool. And Bethesda has a really cute little 30-second save the date video. It's got papercraft. It's adorable.
Pretty adorable.
It's so cute. I loved it. So, E3 is going to be June 9 to 11. And it's exciting. The announcements are starting. I mean, they're going to, keep mum about it all and hopefully not say too much beforehand because I love getting surprised and shocked by major announcements on the day. No leaks, please. But it's starting.
we know
Everyone's gonna start
one
getting
thing that's
psyched.
going to be there at least. So EA will have the next Battlefield because apparently that's going to be playable at their EA Play event. So, yeah, which is going to be World War II from all reports.
Yeah, so I read.
Battlefield 2, it looks like.
Which I'm much more interested in than the Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah, I had a really interesting conversation with someone about this week in terms of, what could they possibly add to like World War II in a Battlefield game? They're going to do the Normandy landing again, all this sort of stuff that we've seen done before. But then I forgot that, we grew up in an era where things like Medal of Honor were covering a lot of this ground. But there's a whole new generation of gamers now that haven't gone through all that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, Battlefield 1942 was the first Battlefield game. That's yeah. So that's it. Getting back to its roots. Absolutely.
yep. So, yeah, that'll be
Very
interesting.
cute.
But,
I'm looking forward to seeing more about Anthem.
Yes.
Just see where they're at with that.
Intrigued.
Yeah.
Going to be quite telling. I mean, EA typically have a whole bunch of their sports content as well, so I'm not too fussed about that. But and they're doing the same thing they always do with regards to having their separate event outside of E3 just beforehand. So we'll see all the EA stuff before everything else. So. But yeah, what about the Bethesda? Like, I'm actually curious. What do you guys think Bethesda are going to reveal this year? Because last year we had some pretty big ones. They had Wolfenstein 2. They had the Dishonored: Death of the Outsider as well.
Which I still need to play. God damn it.
I mean, if we cycle through their major franchises, are we due for Elder Scrolls again?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
I reckon maybe
That'd be cool.
like an early teaser. Like, I don't think it's going to be 2019, but I think we might get like an early teaser for a 2020 release, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm actually
That'd be
thinking
cool.
they might not do that because Bethesda's behavior in the last couple of years, like particularly with Fallout 4 and the stuff that they had last year, has very much been that they only show stuff at E3 that they're launching within a few months of that year. So they've been really good about not teasing things that are too far ahead.
That's not true. Skyrim was announced a long time before.
Oh, that's going back, though. I'm talking about the last couple of years.
That was before Bethesda had their own conference. Because the first time
true.
first time they had their own conference was the Fallout 4 announcement. And then I think last year they still had enough sort of gas in the tank to do their own one. But this year I'm wondering, like, without announcing the new Elder Scrolls game, do they have enough gas in their tank to host their own performance? So that's why I think they might be a little more inclined to do that.
I'm thinking back to an interview that Todd Howard from Bethesda did a couple of years ago. That he did mention that they had a couple of major new titles that they were building on like a Fallout or Skyrim sort of scale, but were completely new IP. So, but that's not been mentioned in the meantime. So something that is totally unexpected could be what we're going to see this year.
They're pretty good at holding things close to their chest.
Oh man, Doom 2 would excite the fuck out of me.
That'd be
I'd be keen for Doom.
Mm-hmm.
If they did like original Doom 2 and went back to Earth, it'd be so cool.
Yeah, but if it's not composed by Mick Gordon, there will be riots. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Cool. All right, what else we got?
Speaking of not quite riots, Far Cry 5. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting a live action short film titled Far Cry 5 Inside Eden's Gate, which actually released yesterday on Amazon Prime, March 5th. So, yeah, it apparently follows some vloggers learning about the cult that is responsible for the events that occur on Far Cry 5. So it looks reasonable. Like, the production values look actually quite respectable. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
Did we see how long it is, or
30 minutes?
Okay.
How long, sorry?
30 minutes.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
I'm sure we've all got our Amazon Prime subscriptions ready to go, right, guys?
No, wait. The thing that intrigues me is I'm curious to see if they then make an appearance in the game, like if the events in the short film are linked to the game at all.
Well, I know
Probably
the
a tape
cult
recorder
leader's in
somewhere.
there. Like, what's his name? Daniel Seed or something like that? He's
Daniel
definitely
Seed,
in there.
yeah. I'm curious if the vloggers turn up anywhere. Like, if Christian just says, like, you find a video camera with a horrific sort of thing on it. You're like, all right, that's what happened. So yeah, and so Far Cry 5 comes out 27th of March. PS4, Windows, Xbone. It's going to be great. Well, it's not.
I think March is pretty much that and a way out of the big ones we're looking forward to, if memory serves. So
yeah, I'm intrigued by a way out.
Persona 5 Dancing Moon Night comes out in May. Okay, so it's a big game.
Oh, Sea of Thieves as well.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. That's coming soon.
Ooh.
Yeah. Speaking of big games, I guess Starcraft 20th turns 20 on March 31st, and Blizzard have announced a whole bunch of in-game goodies for all of their games. So there's stuff like in Diablo 3, if you log in on March 6th, you get a battle cruiser as a pet.
That's so weird.
That works.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a little demonic battle cruiser.
Chosen.
Overwatch players get a skin for Widowmaker that's like human ghost Kerrigan, which is pretty cool.
It looks pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it's a straight up free, so just make sure you log in March 6th to April 3rd. WoW players get a few things. There's a couple of pets and receive the Salute to Starcraft Feat of Strength. I don't even know what a Feat of Strength is. Anyone? Any WoW
Where's
players?
Mimo when you need her?
I'm actually trying to remember. I think it might just be like a cooldown item. Like it's there's a few items you can pick up in game that have like a recharge once every game day, allow you like 3 short uses of just like a fun power. So yeah, they're not super like powerful or anything for top level players, but they can be a nice little boost for starting characters. So
Heroes of the Storm players get a couple of portraits, which is portraits. One for Protoss, one for Terra, and one for Zerg. And Hearthstone is going to have a StarCraft-inspired tavern brawl. And then instead of winning 1 classic pack, you'll get 3 Kobolds and Catacombs pack.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but I would like if there to be like a StarCraft card back, like they did for the Diablo one. If you remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that you don't get to keep anything StarCraft related, add to your collection. But
Yeah.
And then of course, actual StarCraft players, StarCraft Remastered gets a skin, UI skin, and StarCraft 2 gets special UI skins for each race. So it's pretty cool for all of the Blizzard players out there.
Nice.
And speaking of Blizzard games, I got some news about Hearthstone, which I'm sure Ollie loves.
I am braced.
My hands are up, guys. Christian, take it away.
Cool. This month, saw the biggest revamp of the Hearthstone ranked system since the game really launched, and it ran into a few snags. So when they first reset the ladder, like they do at the start of every month, there was a strange bug, and suddenly people, instead of progressing sort of 1/5 of a rank, they were jumping entire ranks every game. So people were reaching the highest achievable score of Legend within like 5 games as opposed to 50. And then so Blizzard had to actually just pull the plug on the ranked play mode, and they said, a lot of damage was done to the Asia server, but because of the different reset dates, the North America server was pretty much okay. So there were a few strange days there where the ranked mode was just completely offline, and you could still play casual, you could play the Tavern Brawl, but yeah, no ranked mode. And then they did release a fix for that reverted it back to it's how they wanted it to be. So they have kept with the revamp, and it's working as intended now. But then there was another strange thing that happened where players in that Legend rank, that high top rank, were noticing that they were dropping a lot more ranks than they were supposed to. So you'd think that if you lose a game, win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game, win a game, your rank would stay somewhat like stationary. That should balance out. But the players were finding that in order to actually climb ranks, you were needing to win like 7 games and lose 1, and the balance was way out, and it was for pro players, they all just stopped playing because the system was just balked, and it was just way against. It wasn't worth it for them to actually play. And then Blizzard released a hotfix just today for that. But I've been reading like mixed reports as to whether or not it's actually fixed the issue. So I've seen a number of like streamers that have stopped playing ranked again and are playing arena instead until Blizzard sorts out what's going on. So
yeah, to be fair though, this is kind of the first time that this issue has been as big as it is. So
it's the rank, and they have offered 3 apology packs. So every Hearthstone player should, in the coming week, log in and find they've been given 3 Kobolds and Catacombs packs as like an apology for the downtime, which is nice.
Yeah. It's awesome for people who don't play ranked. They don't give a shit.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't want to quickly mention a couple of things, though. They announced the new play year has now been revealed as Year of the Ravens. That's going to be kicking off as soon as the new expansion launches. And one of the things that they've teased as a feature of development this year is Hearthstone is finally getting tournament support in-game. So
it's going to be so good. That's been so many people have been crying for that for ages.
Yeah, that is like number one on most people's lists, I think. So
yeah.
No idea what that's going to look like yet, but we'll see.
I have a bad feeling we won't see it this year. It'll be next year, but who knows?
Yeah, they're committed to it, but we'll see. Yeah.
I
don't know.
Well, one Blizzard thing we will see soon. They announced the 27th Overwatch hero. Yay!
Yeah. Does it spin everyone else out that it is 27 now? Holy crap.
I mean, it was pretty high to start with.
Gone up there.
Yeah.
Did it start at 21? I think it was 21.
I think so.
Anyway, it's Brigitte Lindholm, Torbjorn's daughter, which is awesome. And she looks like a kick-ass support character. Apparently, in the test server, she is a delight to play. I cannot wait to try it out.
Did anyone besides me looking at her get a bit of an Aloy vibe, like cross with a knightly squire? So just facial.
Because she has red hair and a ponytail.
Oh,
Crusader
just
vibes.
hair.
Is what I get, like
Bradley
Crusader vibes.
Yeah. Well, more
She
just
just
because
looks
some of Aloy's armor sets are actually reasonably heavy and stocky. So I sort of saw a couple of comparisons. But yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's just the red hair.
I think it's the little like chip thing going on, like her hair clip, which looks like a little micro bead thing going on.
Yeah, it could be. It's good.
Have you seen people complaining about her face, her in-game face?
What's wrong with her
Oh,
in-game
that she
face?
resembles...
Mercy, she doesn't look very similar. She doesn't look very close to the actual cinematic version of her. She looks more, very similar to Mercy.
Oh,
I've only seen the cinematic.
Yeah.
Not sure. Cosplayers the world round rejoiced when they saw the release, though, because that's a whole bunch of cool stuff. So
Yeah.
It is.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see the comparison picture. It's not that similar.
Yeah, no.
It's different enough.
Yeah, I agree. Looks cool. More synergy between the background stories of the different characters too, because she's actually Torbjorn's daughter and has squired for Reinhardt as well, which is kind of
Reinhardt's
cool.
goddaughter.
Yeah, there you go. Bit of family sort of tie-ins there.
That's right.
So, all right, well, last thing on the list this week is just a brief bit of Nintendo news. So there was a weird thing that happened during the week with Nintendo Switch because it's just hit its 1-year anniversary. And people who actually bought the launch Switches have been realizing there's a strange bug that's been rearing its head where their playtime that has been recorded a year in, as soon as that 365th day ticks over, their playtime logs have been getting deleted. So
Yeah, that sucks.
yeah, that really, I mean, most people probably don't care about this, but there are a number of people out there that certainly will care about it. And it's just something that is such a strange bug to have happened in the first place that why is this even a thing? Like,
Did Nintendo not learn from Y2K?
yeah, I know. It's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. It's like the console has the ability to track months, but not years. And then as soon as it tracks around to January again, it's just like, wipes the previous January. Or whatever month it happens to be. It's just weird. So, I mean, again, we talked about this a short time ago. Nintendo, just fucking catch up to, this century, please. There's a lot of things that you need to look at. The way we do things now, the world has moved on. Please catch up.
Shut up, Luke. Cardboard.
Yep.
That is
They
also
have said at least
basics.
that no data is being lost, that it is recording correctly in the background. It's just like a UI issue. So, nothing's being lost.
yeah. Well, if it's just that, hopefully that's an easy fix because they can still get something to display that data, which would be good. So,
Yep.
yeah. All right. Well, let's move into this week's topic of the week, which, of course, because it is the first show of March, that means that it is time for Party Game of the Month. So this month I will kick us off because it's actually one of the ones we rolled up, which was my suggestion for a change. So this week we're going to be reviewing a little real-time strategy game called Forts, which I suggested after seeing it at PAX a couple of years ago. So, hang on, was it a couple of years ago? No, it was last year. It was the showcase winner, one of the showcase finalists last year, I believe, for the PAX Rising showcase. So usually they have half a dozen developers that get sort of put in the prime real estate spot in the PAX Rising hall. And they have bigger booths and a big display and get a fair bit of press attention. And Earthwork Games are the developers and publishers of Forts, a Brisbane-based company. So they got the nod last year to be one of those 6. And it was shortly after they released the game because it actually came out last year on the 19th of April. So hadn't been out for too long before PAX came around. They got a whole bunch of press there. And we got to see it in its full mode. So, but now we've played it. So there we go. It is currently a PC game only, available on Steam for $14.99 US. So, Ollie, let's throw it to you. What would you sort of say when you're describing the game style and how it actually works mechanically?
It is a 2D side-on view, physics-based fort building and fight game? Mm-hmm. Question mark? It reminds me a lot of if you could build forts in Worms.
Yeah, Wormy
like
birds.
the feel of it, like the art style. What was
It's
that?
wormy birds.
That sounds
Wormy
so
birds.
gross.
Yeah, that
sounds
actually is a very
sickly.
fine fit. Mix worms with angry birds.
Early bird
Which we
gets the
predicted
worm.
quite
basically
well
have
last
this
week.
game.
Can we talk? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's cool. So, did we work out if 4 players was the maximum? I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
No,
it
you can
is.
get 8,
Oh,
I
no,
believe.
4v4.
Yeah.
Oh,
There were
really?
definitely 4v4
4 per
maps.
side.
Okay, yeah. So it is a team-based game. There's pretty much always 2 sides, just simply because of the way that a lot of the maps work. It's kind of like one side lobbing shit at the other side, whether there happens to be 1 fort on each side or 2 forts on each side or whatever. That's kind of how it sort of plays out. So, I mean, art style and graphics, Jam. What did you think of that? What did it actually look
Well,
like?
I just want to clarify to start with that the 4 of us launched a game with 0 prior knowledge, having
this is-
not
Yeah,
played
that
the
may have been a
tutorial.
mistake.
Yes, we just jumped straight in.
It was chaos. It was so funny. We're looking at it. We're like, oh, we can build stuff. Okay. Started building and had it topple over and went,
Yeah.
oh, I need to put some struts down there.
That was hilarious.
Luke's base explodes.
Well, Christian and I were paired up for our first game, and I thought that, building steel beams on the front of our fort to armour it against oncoming shots was the right play, but all it did was pull the entire thing down with the weight of the one side of the thing, so it collapsed what we were working on, which is
And
hilarious.
then we figured out there were ropes. So we started anchoring when it started leading. And then we got a little better at building a balanced fort that didn't topple over, but then we had to deal with resource management because we needed the, was it coal that we were mining?
Yeah, metal or whatever.
And more batteries to store energy from our wind turbines or our reactor.
And then we started shooting at each other.
And then, oh my God. So every game we played, I was super excited at learning a new thing until every goddamn time one of you lasered me. And I was like, shit, damn it, because I just never got to that point in time. But, we slowly figured out how to shoot. We're like, there's a guy, and he's just sitting there, and he has a gun. What is he doing? He's just, okay, if I click on him, he can't shoot through the thing. Oh, he needs a door to open. Oh, okay. And then we start taking pot shots to see how it works, what the range is like. It was quite funny when we had mortars and we're just like testing angles and just lobbing it and watching it sail across the level. Nope, that was short. Okay, readjust. But yeah, it's good fun. It's way too easy to catch fire and burn and die really fast.
Yeah, Jam did discover the virtue of fire control around your power reactor.
So my sniper guy was comfortably nestled in my fort, and he gets all cheeky, and I'm like, okay, open the door and line up the shot. And one of you other bastards on the other side launches a laser beam that goes right through the door, through the sniper, and hits my reactor core, and it just explodes almost instantly.
We must have timed it perfectly just as you were firing.
It was perfectly.
I was waiting to see doors open before I was shooting my lasers.
So
really?
cheeky.
Yeah.
I was not that
because you can
clever.
see it.
Snipers are really good for that as well. I was doing that a few times. They'd be like, oh, they're firing. Pew.
Pew, pew.
And watch an explosion occur on your base.
And then the different maps, like we started on vanilla where it's like you have a base that's sitting in the ground and it's a relatively level map. And then the next one that we launched was, okay, you're kind of attached to the side of a cliff and your friend's below you and the other two are on the other side. Good luck, because building out makes it just sag and groan and struggle. Oh, amazing. The physicsness was just frustrating. But I can see, necessary. Because when you guys started shooting out the ropes that I had tethered to the ceiling so that to hold up my base, I was like, oh, damn. They're really vulnerable.
No, I must admit, like my opening sort of few salvos in the game, I didn't realize you could zoom out and see everything fully at once. So I was actually panning back and forth trying to draw a bead on the right target like an idiot.
No.
Yeah, that's how I didn't notice the
fantastic.
fire at the bottom of my base.
Yep.
I was zoomed in too far, focusing on setting up a sniper on the top. And then it was like, oh, my reactor exploded. Oh, that shit was on fire for a while. Good one. Good one.
Yeah, leave those fires on.
We eventually figured out the laser. What was it called? The laser
Well,
shielding.
Christian did.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, the shield.
The shield?
Yeah, yeah.
He was
Yeah.
playing around with that.
That was.
Yeah, because Christian unlocked the laser, and so it's like, I have
I
to learn how to
know.
build shields.
I
and
just
it
played
actually
Laser
reflected
Madness.
it, which could be very dangerous if you've got a friend in a separate base nearby.
Yep. That I think that was probably more of a chance thing though. Like, 'cause I think actually reflecting it in a particular direction would have been extremely hard. It would have just been more accident than anything else. But
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's all angles and math, dude. Like you could totally measure that shit out.
Angle of reflection is
Simple
Imagine
geometry.
if you
Angle of
had a
incidence,
diagonal
etc.
shield and you were
was.
like hanging off the cliff above my base as my friend, and they were like, "Well, I'm going to shoot there," and it's going to like divert it around all of the defenses she's got up top and go straight down through her core. Like that would be really crafty if you could get the angle right.
I wonder if anyone has actually gone to the effort while playing that game of building like a laser gun at the back of their base pointed upwards and actually like firing it off one of their own shields to go on an angle so your gun's protected. Yeah.
More importantly, you build like a horseshoe out of the shield thingies so that it just goes pew 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 and straight back at the friend.
Yeah.
Who is not a friend? Who is the enemy?
I'm curious how far out you can build the bases, whether you could actually build them so far out that they end up touching.
Oh,
would be great.
surely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be quite funny.
You could have
But
like a
yes.
gentleman's agreement to sort of, build for X number of minutes and then open fire. That would be a really cool way to play, actually.
That could even be a game mode where like weapons can't fire for 5 minutes and then it like unlocks or something.
I would appreciate that game mode.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That'd be pretty cool.
We can like self-impose that game mode.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, because
But yeah.
we all hear the call go at the same time and then we start shooting. I think that'd work fine. Absolutely.
Setting-wise, it's cartoony and cute 2D-ness, but the level design it's basic in that there's not much to it. You've got sort of a bit of land and a bit of ore for your miners to mine. and the rest is very open because you need, room to lob weapons. But there were so many different maps. It was just difficult choosing. There was like at least 30, I think.
Oh, wow. That's heaps. Yeah.
Yeah, huge. And everything from like the weirdest caverny types to big open things, or you're all hanging upside down off something. Your teams can either be in one fort or you can each have your own fort. We tried a 4v4 with just the 4 of us, and it just dropped 2 off each side, which was handy. We didn't have to get stuck with AI. And yeah, different sort of themes like, ice levels and deserty looking ones and greenish looking ones, but nothing spectacular because that needs to kind of blend into the background because it would detract if, your base wasn't the focus of everything. And if there was too much going on in the background too, you'd probably have trouble lining up your shots.
Absolutely. Actually, what the graphics reminded me a lot of is the game looked very much like a Behemoth game. That sort of style artwork was very similar. Like particularly with some of the characters that you had the option of choosing. So because your overall commander, you actually had like a bunch of different characters you could choose, which had sort of kind of like a super ability, which you could control on the left-hand side, and sometimes it discounted.
Could you?
Yeah. Didn't you work this out?
Yeah.
All right. So
Mate,
anyway,
there was so much I didn't work out.
no, that's
I
true.
was
That's
tired.
fair.
Tutorials are fun.
There was like a little star icon over on the left, and depending on which character you chose, they usually have a passive ability, which is, sometimes they increase the power of particular weapons or decrease the cost or build time or something like that. And then they have like a star ability, which is you click on it, and for a short time while that sort of, powers down, it gives you an additional bonus on things like that. So, pardon me, it could give... there was one at least that allowed you to see the inside someone's structure, so you could see where the different bits and pieces were positioned, which was cool.
Sneaky, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had the anti-fire guy, which was very useful.
Yeah, he's
there
what I
was an
started with.
anti-fire guy? Damn it!
It's his passive slowed the spread of fire. I'm like, yep, done.
Yeah.
Laser McGee over here, definitely.
So yeah, that was quite cool. But I one thing that I found which was a bit tricky and not great about the game though is particularly when you were playing with multiple people on each side. As soon as one player gets taken out, if you've got multiple forts, then the game goes downhill very quickly for that.
Yeah,
side.
snowballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, when 2v2 becomes 2v1, it's over.
Yeah, pretty much. So kind of eliminates the point of doing that. Having 2v2 where you're sharing a base though, that's a different kind of teamwork challenge. Like, trying to work out who's doing the building and who's doing the firing and weapon construction, and not having one person drain all your resources when you're trying to build
sharing the
something else.
resources is the real tricky thing, I think.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to build this, but I'm never getting enough money.
Yeah. Both just hovering over the builds button, just like whoever can get to it first sort of thing. But I don't know. But 2 people being able to control guns though would make it quite a more deadly scenario though when you've got 2 weapons firing simultaneously at the enemy as opposed to one, because you can only typically click on one at a time and fire it, and you can cycle while they recharge because usually there's a cooldown before that weapon can fire again, and that's bigger or smaller depending on the type of weapon. Like some of the energy based ones take a lot longer to recharge. But you really can't have all the weapons firing at the same time. Like they're not automated. You actually have to control them. So
especially because some of the energy weapons they shoot your resources, so you can just expend all of your energy with one shot, and then it doesn't matter how many lasers you've got, they don't have any ammo to use. So yeah,
which is tough. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know. What are your individual thoughts on the game, guys? Like, Ollie, let's start with you. What did you think of it overall?
That's an official opinion, right? Like, I like the idea. I like the overall look and feel of the game. I wasn't super impressed with the 2v2. I don't know if it's just me personally being really shit, but I felt like I wanted like you guys suggested, at least a very small build time window. So, because otherwise it's very much like any RTS ever. It's a race to get to the most efficient thing early enough to then inconvenience your opponent so you can get ahead. Yeah. And yeah, it was all right. Like, I can't say it's bad because I did enjoy quite a few bits of it, but I'm not like, hells yeah, that was the best game ever sort of thing. So I thought it was okay.
Christian, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Like, wasn't too impressed. I think for me personally, because of my game taste, I would have appreciated it more if it were turn-based. because I struggle with the sort of RTS. Like I can't play Starcraft because it stresses me out too much just having to manage everything. So if it was like turn-based and you get a certain number of like action points to use every turn or something like that between building and shooting or something, probably would have enjoyed it more. That would kind of take away from the identity of the game a bit and make it more like Worms. But yeah, I thought it was okay. But I wouldn't go back to it, I don't think, because of the real-time nature of it.
Yeah, that's fair. Jam, what about you?
I'm very similar. I'm not an RTS fan. It was fun until I lost because I didn't realize how far ahead of me everyone else was. I was just building a pretty base, a pretty balanced base, and trying to figure out what to craft next very slowly.
Yeah.
I see the appeal for people who enjoy that kind of game, though. It'd be super fun with friends if you're all really into it and keen on, finding out the most efficient way together to mess shit up. But it's, I guess, if a big group was playing, I'd jump in, considering I already own it, but it's not a game I would have gone out of my way to purchase. And it's probably not a game I'm going to recommend we play, but I definitely would have benefited from not going in blind.
I feel like
enjoyed it
it's a safe
slightly more if I'd done the tutorial, but it was also kind of fun us all going in equally ignorant.
Yeah.
And just having a crack and watching everything go up in flames.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's well made. I think they've achieved what they intended. And it definitely has a target audience that will enjoy it. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's definitely polished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the game's been designed and developed very well. The campaign that you can actually play, Jam, which is, effectively functions as the tutorial, I went in afterwards and played a bit of that, and I don't think it taught anything groundbreaking that we hadn't already sort of gotten ourselves from playing multiplayer a few times. So what it tends to do is it just goes through. It's very similar to a lot of other RTS campaigns where it focuses on each individual element a bit more during each mission. So you have a mission which focuses a lot more on a particular weapon type or resource type, and then you move on to the next one. It focuses a bit more on the next tool kind of thing. So, there's no huge surprises there. But I guess overall, I kind of agree with you guys. The thing for me was that there's individual parts of this game that on their own are really, really cool. But as a cohesive whole, it just lacks something. So I think that maybe what it lacks could have been addressed a little bit more by having some different gameplay options, like maybe having more circular maps where you could do like an all-on-all and not just have two sides involved. That might have been cool.
Or if we could all of us have a Christian on our team at the same time, that may have helped.
Not good at RTS, guys. Wow.
What Christian mentioned
like
is
my laser.
what Christian mentioned is kind of a key thing though, because games like this that are too swingy. It's like every board game ever that I don't like when there's like a point of no return where you decide the winner of that board game by X turn and then the board game continues on for about that length of time
you have
again.
To play it out.
Second I got lasered, I was like, okay, I'm not having fun anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know I'm about to die.
You know when the game has ended and it's not actually when the game ends, it's like before
It's like it happens in Hearthstone all the time. You concede as soon as you know the game's over. You don't play it out, just waste both players' time.
Yeah, exactly. So if it wasn't for those swingy points, like if there was a bit more of a comeback mechanic, I think the game could be a bit better, because then you could have those really tense moments where you lose a crucial part of your base, but then you have time to rebuild and come back into it without completely just having things over at that point. Maybe that could
Maybe
work.
there is.
Yeah.
Maybe there is. Honestly, we didn't put stacks of time into it.
No, that is true. And I know that the developers made this game to a large extent to be moddable in future too. So,
that would be interesting.
Who knows what they could add to it? There's a whole, realm of possibility there. If
Make it like a scoring mechanism where you can make the prettiest fort and that's how you win.
Yeah, or even a scoring mechanism where you get points based on what you manage to shoot out as opposed to going for a complete destruction victory. Like, going for priority targets. That could be an interesting way to do it. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different ways they could to tweak and tailor the game. And to be fair, there's maybe a couple of these that actually exist in the game that we didn't see, but I don't think we did. I don't think it is there. But anyway, we'll see. So yeah, all right, thoughts. So potentially an acquired taste is kind of where we're all landing on it.
It really made me want to play Worms.
Yeah.
Play Worms now.
There you go. All right, well, shall we have a look at what next month's game is going to be? So, Ollie, perhaps for the final time in the near future, would you like to give everybody a brief overview of how they can suggest a game for our party game of the month? What does it need to be?
There is a few criteria that it has to meet. One of
what are
which it has to actually be out. No coming soons.
Why?
Because then we can't play it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because we can only play it in a month.
Why?
We can't play Good Intentions,
Reasons.
Jam. It doesn't work.
I just want to annoy Ollie for the last time.
No, it won't be. Just
It
on
won't
record.
be. Every day.
It's just
Every
the last.
day.
Yeah, it's just the last time on actual recording. It must be PC, mobile platform, or multi-platform. So no platform exclusives apart from PC, because we all have that. Maximum US $30 because we don't want to throw out $100 a game every month because that's a bit much if it turns out to be not great.
On top of the other $100 a game that we already throw out on other stuff. So
Exactly. So, and we got to be able to get a good impression in like a few hours of play. We don't want to have to sit through a 25-hour tutorial, Final Fantasy, to get an impression of what the game's actually like. And then you can send it to us via the emails, the Twitters, or the Facebooks, any of those things.
that's good. All right. So we got to roll up a result from our list of offerings at the moment. So who's got a random number generator handy? Who's doing it tonight?
I think we were volunteering you because the rest of us didn't have one handy. Is that right?
Sure. All right. I'll close the doc then, and I will roll something up. So I've got my handy dandy digital number generator. So let me just fire that up.
Damn it, I should have gone and got my dice. I have a beautiful new dice tray and everything.
You do.
Okay. So
Save it for D&D.
I've got it loaded. All right. Ready. Set. Oh, I should probably turn the sound on. Hang on. There we go.
It's alright, I don't trust you anyway.
There we go. We have a 7. What do we got on 7?
Ooh. That's the new one I just added.
Ooh.
Oh, it's
My
Christian's
pick.
choice.
My pick.
All right. What is it?
It's Into the Breach.
Hey. Nice.
Tell
Yeah.
me more. What is Into the Breach?
Into the Breach is the new game just out this month from the developers of FTL, which is their roguelike game.
No.
And
FTL was great.
Into the Breach is also roguelike, but it's a grid-based mech combat game with some like end-of-the-world shenanigans going
I've
on or
seen
something.
gifs of this. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to be so frustrated.
Yeah.
Looks good fun.
Yeah. It does look very. It's getting super good reviews at the moment. So
Cool.
I'm keen. Well, that's awesome. Happy with
Yay.
that result. Cool. Doesn't hurt for it to be a fairly recent release as well. It's kind of exciting. All right, well, that's going to be a whole month away, though, and we've got plenty of other games to play in the meantime. So before we get on to what everyone else is playing in the next week, I should probably just mention that if you want to get in touch with us and let us know what you're playing or what you thought of Forts, if you got a chance to give it a go, you can hit us up at all the usual places. So email us at mail@partyloaded.com. We're on Facebook, of course. You just look for Party Loaded. We're on Twitter at Party Loaded Show. And you can check out all of our YouTube content at youtube.com/channel endgame. But in the meantime, this week, what's everyone got on? So, Christian, let's start with you. What are you going to be playing this week?
I actually have planned to start a series that you're familiar with, Luke, which is Yakuza.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm going to pick up. I just purchased Kiwami
Yep.
because it was on sale, and I'm
take.
trying to find the cheapest copy of Zero I can find to start with that one. So
I was going to say that's my advice. That's my number one advice. Start with Zero.
yeah. I googled like, should I start with Kiwami or Zero? People say Zero, so I just need to find the cheapest copy I can. Then I'm on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheapest copy of Zero might actually be from me because I might be able to lend you a copy. So
That's awesome.
let me see if I can dig that out because I got a digital copy of Kiwami, but Zero I've got a disc of, so I might be able to pass that on.
Nice, cool.
There you go. Yeah, that's a fucking great game. I cannot wait for 6. It's gonna be fun. All right. Well, Ollie, what do you got on the list this
Well,
week?
you just reminded me that I've missed an Dishonored game, so I need to get on that.
ooh.
That sounds-
So,
Yeah.
speaking of which, I'm opening Steam now.
Jam, more Sims.
Sims. Yeah. Yeah.
Sims
I
all the way down.
I think once I've got the hang of this, I need to make a little village of all of our D&D characters and see what they do.
Oh, God.
That would be amazing.
I'm curious where you land on like the comfortable number of Sims to control at any one time because I'm finding that 5 is pretty hard work at the moment. So.
What I'd want to do is pepper like a neighborhood with NPC Sims and maybe like hop between houses so that I'm not controlling too many at one time, but they're all getting some exposure and a chance to interact.
Yep.
It's what I used to do in Sims 3. It was kind of funny.
So you kind of like Eye of Sauron on a particular house every couple of hours sort of thing and
Just every time I log on, I'll be like, I feel like playing this character today.
oh yeah.
And then it means I get to decorate different houses with different themes. The real cool thing is Alejandro's pad was all like blacks and greys, very, manly, suave. And then when his lady friend moved in, it's slowly getting some, like, as I have to replace things, some shades of blue. So it's like it's morphing into this shared space very organically. I love decorating. I'm definitely going to be making a neighborhood soon where I just use all of the cheats and go ham on making a mansion.
Building a super house, yeah. Some of the stuff on offering in
never
the
takes long.
online catalog is pretty impressive, actually. There's some great stuff there, yeah. Well, I'm going to be trying to wrap up Rise of the Tomb Raider, but I also discovered that today, apparently, the additional DLC prequel to Life is Strange Before the Storm has actually just been released. So the final installment called Farewell, which actually sees the return of Ashley Birch in the role of Chloe, sort of for that game, and has the return of Max, who's the character from the original Life is Strange as well, which I believe has the same voice actress as well. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but yeah, that's one that I've been hanging out for because Life is Strange is awesome. More of those characters is awesome.
Oh, you know what else?
Yeah.
Jessica Jones is about to drop, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, season 2, like tomorrow?
I think so.
Ooh.
Gotta finish
Much
The
excited.
Expanse first.
Yeah.
I have to finish Punisher. Damn.
Yep.
Oh, I gotta finish that as well. Jeez.
Well, if it helps,
I can add to my games though.
I was gonna
I just
say.
bought Nier Automata as well, and a game called Superflight.
Oh, nice. Ollie, I just picked up Nier as well because 50% off on Steam. I could not knock that back.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, all right.
Good.
Let's get it over with.
I think I already have purchased it. I just haven't got around to it.
Yeah, you definitely purchased it, Jan, because I saw you as having owned it when it got suggested in my list.
Yep.
Hopefully, at least one of the three of you likes it.
I'm sure
Have someone
I'll
to
love
talk
it.
to.
I'm
I just have
positive
to
I'll
start
love it. Yeah, it's exactly my kind of game.
I have a distinct feeling I'm not gonna like the gameplay, but I'm gonna love the feel of like the world.
Okay.
Yeah, that should be good.
Yes, there it is in my library. Hello, game.
All right, well, we shouldn't
I have
forget, of course, that tonight we're wrapping up with Ollie on a regular basis. So, Ollie, it is time
It's me.
to thank you for everything that you've done for the show over the last couple of years or so. And thanks
been a
for
while.
being an awesome part of this crazy
Yeah.
wild ride that we've been on. Yeah.
I talked a lot today. It was great.
Yay.
We'll
Remarkably
be
less salty than
visiting,
usual.
though.
Yeah.
I will make you visit.
Well, actually, on that note, Ollie, what are you super excited for later in the year that we can potentially drag you back to chat about? So if there's one thing you can think of at the moment, what would it be?
I love that you think I pay attention to future game releases. I definitely want to chat about Sea of Thieves. I'm definitely very keen to do some Sea of Thieves stuff
What
with
about
like a
Dishonored?
group of people. Yeah,
Come
yeah,
back,
but-
review it for us.
just a solo monologue.
No, just a smidge. A wee review. Wee baby review.
It's good. It's a Dishonored game. Moving on. Yeah, that's a smidge.
I'm going to miss you so much.
Yeah, I'm great.
With every shot she takes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's play some PUBG after this. I want to shoot a
Sure.
bitch.
Okay. I'm not a bitch. I don't count.
I'm going to shoot you.
No.
I think you're the first person I ever shot in PUBG.
Yeah, I actually was.
Yeah.
And we were on the same team.
Of course we were.
It was great.
And she's somehow not been banned.
yeah.
It's amazing. No, well, anyway, man, enjoy your newfound sort of freedom on Tuesday nights and play lots of games.
You know what he's using the time for, though? He's using it to paint horribly enormous monster figures for D&D to punish us with.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm not sure I support this.
No, it's all going to come full circle. But like at the end of the day, he's still hosting and running the game for us, so we can't complain too loudly about
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
It is like
Yeah, you can't
ridiculous
complain
fun.
while I'm within earshot, motherfuckers.
No, that's it, 'cause
I
he'll
always
just kill
do.
us.
No, I'm not that type of DM.
Anyway, a bit too
You-
much
you're the only
inside
one that
baseball
died,
for
Luke.
tonight. So anyway, we'll wrap the show up there. Thanks everybody again for listening, and I hope you're enjoying whatever you're playing right now. Let us know.
Did you
what
tell
it
them
is.
how to get in touch with us?
Yeah, I did. I went through all
Fuck
that.
it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I missed
Yes,
it.
you did.
I switched off.
Wake up, Jam.
My Luke blocker engaged. Sorry.
All right. Well, we can engage everybody else's loop blocker. I'm going to shut up now and say, everyone, thanks for
Hooray.
listening. See you next week. See you in 7 days. And have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye, Ollie.
Bye-bye.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.